When your hand reaches into the cramped corner where a stray cat is hiding, thin, scarred, maybe burned, it isn't thinking someone came to save me. To its body, those wide pupils are not reading kindness. They are tracking size, motion, and possible harm. Its nervous system is already overloaded. The alarm has been pulled. Stress hormones rise. Every hiss, every tremble, every locked muscle is the body trying to stay alive. And yet sometimes the impossible happens. The cat does not run. It leans forward and rubs its wounded head against a stranger's finger. So what must shift before this human stops looking like every human before? To understand that, we have to look at what trauma teaches the brain to expect. We often call them emotional scars, but abuse is not stored as sorrow alone. Chronic stress can weaken the systems involved in judgment, learning, and calming fear. And the amygdala, the brain's alarm center, can become painfully sensitive, like a warning system stuck on high alert. In that animal's world, safety is no longer solid. Calm is just the quiet space between threats. That is why, when a crate opens for a dog from a fighting ring, the opening may not look like freedom. Sometimes that injured pit bull presses itself into the deepest corner of the crate, trembling so hard the metal seems to shake. In psychology and behavior science, this connects to learned helplessness. When an animal has been hurt again and again, and nothing it does can stop the pain, the brain may stop looking for escape. So when we bring it into warmth, offer a soft bed, and expect relief, reality can feel painfully confusing. It may hide under the bed for months. It may scratch or bite the person trying to help. It is not difficult or ungrateful. It is not punishing kindness. Trauma has built an invisible prison inside its mind, trapping it in a fight-or-flight loop with no easy switch to turn the alarm off. So what opens that lock? Often it starts small. Behavior scientists call this prediction error. The brain expects one ending, and the world gives another. A traumatized animal sees a human approaching, and the body opens its oldest file. Human means pain. Human means pressure. Human means the moment before harm. But what if this human does not act like the ones before? What if the rescuer avoids direct eye contact, lowers their body, moves slowly, and even sits nearby with their back partly turned? That behavior does not fit the old danger pattern. The prediction cracks. For the first time, the brain gets a different message. The harm it expected did not arrive. That is not trust yet. But it may be the first crack in fear. You can see this clearly with abused rescue horses. A horse can weigh around 1,000 pounds and injure a person with one panicked kick. But emotionally, it survives by noticing everything. A fast hand, a sudden rope, one wrong movement. If you try to force a terrified horse into a halter, you may not get a breakthrough. You may get a hospital bill. So what do experienced rehabilitators often do? Almost nothing. They sit by the stall wall with a book. They do not stare. They do not reach. They let calm fill the room. For hours, they simply become part of the room. Day after day, the horse watches this strange human who keeps showing up, staying calm, and not becoming dangerous. Then one day, the huge animal approaches. It lowers its head and gently rests that heavy head near the person's shoulder. For a prey animal, that is not a small decision. Inside that stall, the old prediction has failed enough times for the brain to consider a new one. Maybe this human is not here to hurt me. We often misunderstand rescue. We think expensive food, soft treats, and premium cans are what win them over. Food matters. It gives an animal a reason to come closer. But food alone does not create safety. Hunger can bring the body to a bowl. It cannot teach that body safety. What loosens trauma is harder to provide. A stable, predictable space where no one grabs, no one forces, and no one punishes fear. So when the burned stray cat from the beginning finally purrs near your hand, or gives you that slow blink cats use when they begin lowering their guard, something remarkable is happening. This is neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change, not instantly, not magically, but through repeated experiences of safety. When a traumatized animal survives again and again beside a safe human, without being chased, hurt, or forced, the brain may slowly begin to activate another system: calm, connection, approach, trust. Oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone, may be part of that process. So may reward circuits. So may fear extinction. The brain learning that an old danger signal does not always lead to the old outcome. The old fear does not simply disappear, but the brain can begin writing a new note beside it. This time, closeness did not mean pain. So when an abused dog learns to wag its tail again and walk toward a human, what you are seeing is not just friendliness. You are seeing a nervous system trying to repair itself. It has not forgotten the darkness behind it. It is building beside the old fear pathway another narrow road toward safety. Trust is not a soft story humans place on animals. It is biological. It is chemical. It is a living system rebuilding itself across the boundary between species. Dogs are social animals. Cats are sensitive, independent hunters. Horses are alert prey animals. And African gray parrots, in certain cognitive tasks, have shown abilities close to those of young children. They sit far apart on the evolutionary tree. Yet when facing the same species that once destroyed their sense of safety, they can still show astonishing resilience. There is a story of an African gray parrot that had lived for years in a terrible environment. It had plucked out nearly all of its feathers, as if the pain inside had written itself across the body. After being rescued and brought into a safe new home, it did not suddenly become whole. Healing rarely works that cleanly. For a full year, it slowly learned what safety sounded like. Then one night, the first human phrase it learned was not a demand for food, not a random sound from the room. It repeated the words its new caretaker whispered every day while gently touching its damaged wings. It's okay. Science can measure the frequency of a cat's purr. It can track tiny changes in oxytocin. It can scan, record, compare, and explain. But there is still no instrument that can measure how much courage it takes for an animal hurt by humans to close its eyes beside a human hand. We cannot place a translator inside their minds. We cannot know whether their inner dictionary contains a word as complex as forgiveness, but their bodies answer in the only language they have. A slow blink, a lowered head, a tail moving again, a wounded bird whispering the words it once needed to hear. Sometimes for a life broken by fear, healing is not forgetting. It is letting trust become possible again.